Welcome to New Possibilities. I speak truth to power without fear. So for this video, I'm going to talk about this interview that Megan Markle and her husband, Prince Harry, did with Oprah Winfrey. I'm going to highlight some of the key points in that interview, and then I'm going to provide my commentary. So one of the most controversial aspects of this interview was when Megan Markle said that the royal family had expressed concerns about the skin color of Meghan Markle's child. And as we know, the royals are a white family, and Meghan Markle is biracial. Her mother is black and her father is white. So apparently, according to Meghan Markle and Prince Harry, members of the royal family had expressed concern about the child being too dark. And after this interview, the royal family issued a statement where they expressed concern about Meghan Markle and Prince Harry. But the thing that's very interesting about the statement that was released, it did not deny the allegations that Meghan Markle had put forth. It didn't deny anything that Prince Harry had said. So that's one thing that I found to be very interesting. So in addition to expressing concerns about the color of Meghan Markle's child, this interview also talked about how Meghan Markle's child would not receive a royal title of prince or princess. In addition, the child would not receive security that many of the royal family members receive. So that was an issue. Another controversy in this interview was the fact that Meghan Markle had expressed that she had suicidal thoughts because she had been heavily scrutinized and criticized and attacked by the British press. A lot of tabloids went after her. You know, a lot of the attacks were unfair and racist against her. So this made her have suicidal thoughts. And they also talked about how Prince Harry and Meghan Markle decided to basically separate from the royal families, cast aside some of their royal responsibilities. Another thing that Meghan Markle mentioned during this interview was the fact that before she got married to Prince Harry, she didn't know much about all the duties and responsibilities of members of the royal family. So she really didn't know what she was getting into. So that's an overall summary of some of the highlights from the interview. And now I'm going to provide my commentary. But for more on the interview, I encourage you all to watch it yourself. It's far more to it than that. But I just want to express some of the thoughts that I had after I listened to this interview. Like, the first thing that came to mind is, like, how in the hell is Meghan Markle or the public in general surprised by racism within the royal family? This is a family, after all, that is a family of imperialists. That is their history, undeniable history. They are a family of colonialists. And when you boil it down to its essence, they are a family of white supremacists. So why is she surprised that anybody in that family would express concern about the color of their grandson or their relative's skin? This is a family, after all, that raped and pillaged Africa and other countries around the world. So why are you surprised by this? Why are you surprised by racism within that family? You should have known what you were marrying into. And that goes into the other point about these responsibilities as a royal. Like, it's your responsibility to understand what you were doing when you get into a marriage. As Oprah Winfrey pointed out, as my own imam pointed out, when you marry, you don't only marry that individual, you marry into their family. And before you marry somebody, you should know as much as possible about that family. And part of her knowing about that family would be knowing about these customs and traditions and all that kind of stuff. So she should have known about those things. So now to be expressing all this concern about how much of a burden it is and how horrible it is to be in this royal family. To me, that just seems like that just shows a lack of diligence on her part. She didn't do her homework before she married Prince Harry, and she should have done it. And I want to go back to this whole point of concern about the color of this child's skin. You know, there are a couple of points that I want to make about that. The first one is this. I mean, Meghan Markle is very light-skinned. She is racially ambiguous. If no one told me, I would have no idea that this woman had any blackness in her blood. No idea at all. She doesn't look quite white, but she doesn't look black at all. And she's very fair. So for someone to be concerned about her having a child as dark just seems to be absurd, but it's just an example of the absurdity of racism. And, you know, since the child's been born, the child looks white. This child doesn't look black at all. The child doesn't have any African features at all. So it seems like these people had nothing to be concerned about. And, you know, so that's one thing about the skin color thing. And then a lot of people that are all up in arms about these statements about the skin color, you know, of the child, they're all concerned about racism within the royal family. They need to look in the mirror, because in the black family, you have a lot of that too. In a lot of black families, you have a lot of times members of the black family expressing some kind of concern about whether or not the child is going to be dark skinned or light skinned and all that kind of stuff. So people need to look at this situation and do some self-evaluation for themselves, you know. So that's one point that I had to raise about this. Another thing is this, like, you know, the fact that this child is being denied these things that ordinarily would come to royals, again, that raises questions of racism. Like, if all the other royals get these titles of prince and princess and they get all this security, why isn't this child getting that as well? So that's a concern that's legitimate for people to express and to raise. The other thing that I want to address is this, like, a lot of people have been taking up Meghan Markle as some kind of example of black girl magic. They are using her as some kind of symbol of black woman victimhood and all that kind of stuff. And I just can't go along with that narrative, because this is a woman who, like, from what I've seen, she's not really identifying as a black woman. Like, she is not, like, strongly identifying as a black woman. Everything that I see refers to her as biracial, as mixed, and all that kind of stuff. And nothing is saying, well, you know, I'm not aware of anything that she's put out here where she's saying I'm black and she's affirming blackness and all that kind of stuff. So it's difficult for me to look at her as some kind of symbol of black girl magic, and to see her as some kind of symbol of black victimhood, when she knew what she should have known what she was marrying into. She was marrying into a family of imperialists, a family that colonized and raped Africa and other parts of the world. So it's hard for me to look at her as some kind of victim living in this lush, rich family and all that kind of stuff, quote unquote, leveling up and all that stuff. It's hard for me to view this as her as some kind of helpless victim in this situation that we need to be crying alligator tears over. So that's, you know, so that's one of the things that I had to point out, you know, just this whole narrative that's being put out here, like she's some kind of victim and stuff like that. And I mean, in some ways she has been victimized and stuff like that, but to use her as like some kind of symbol of a black woman just seems to be out of place, given the fact that she doesn't even strongly identify with blackness. And also, like, one of the things that they raised in this interview was this, like, she said that it was important for these Commonwealth countries that are within the British Commonwealth, and their subjects to be able to identify with the royal family. So like if they were to see her, they would be able to say, oh, she looks like me and all this and that. She can't say that if she's going to Africa. I mean, she doesn't look like any African. She doesn't look like a black person. So for her to talk about things in that kind of way, it's just out of place because she is racially ambiguous. She's someone that you could barely identify as black, as I pointed out before. So, so yeah, I mean, those are some of the points that I wanted to raise about this whole thing. It's disturbing that she would feel like she was on the verge of committing suicide. That's very disturbing, and it shows you just like how sick the media is, like how racist the media was or is in Britain. You know, like you had all these racist articles about her and, you know, statements about her being from Compton and, you know, all this kind of racist type of stuff. And that's despicable. And, you know, I do think that that's a damn shame. And it's absolutely ridiculous that that kind of stuff would happen and that somebody would be under such attack to the point where they feel like they may have to commit suicide. So yeah, those are my thoughts about this whole thing. Tell me what you all think. Please rate, comment, subscribe, like the video, share the video, hit that notification bell so that you'll know when I post new content on here. Peace and blessings. Have a great day.